Nobody's perfect. As we all know, even the NBA's greatest players miss shots, cause turnovers, and screw up plays. Surprisingly though, there are even cases where stars mess up so badly that it's just downright embarrassing. Keep watching to learn about every NBA star's most embarrassing play. LeBron James. LeBron James hasn't exactly had an embarrassing career. From being the most hyped high school player of all time to being a 4-time MVP and 4-time champion, many now consider him the greatest player to ever live, including LeBron himself. But even LeBron's game is far from perfect. He's made his fair share of mistakes during his 18 years in the NBA. He's also made some plays that were simply unsportsmanlike. It's hard to think of anything more embarrassing or unsportsmanlike in LeBron's career than his flopping. As many of you will know, flopping is a slang term to describe when a player pretends to get hit in order to get a foul called. Flopping isn't easy to pull off. Even NBA players sometimes don't have quick enough reflexes to make it look real. Making it even harder is the fact that during the 2012-2013 season, the NBA finally made it against the rules. Any player caught flopping is supposed to be fined $5,000. Flop again, and the fine increases. Eventually, if a player is caught flopping 5 or more times during a season, they could be fined over $30,000 and even suspended. The 2012-2013 season just so happens to be right around the time LeBron was in his prime. It was also the time in his career where he started flopping constantly. It was widely speculated that the rule was put in place because of LeBron, but this has never been confirmed. What we do know is that James was fined $5,000 in 2013 for flopping. This is supposed to be the penalty for just one flop. However, James had flopped so many different times in the playoffs that nobody was sure which flop he was being penalized for. Reporters tried to ask LeBron about this at the time, but he clearly didn't want to talk about it.
Did you earn it?
Did I earn it?
The flop.
Man, quit it. Next question.
One of the worst flops James ever tried was back in 2012. The Heat were playing the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. Game 1 was held in Miami, and towards the end of the first half, the Heat had a comfortable lead of almost 15 points. It was at this point in the game that Tyson Chandler, the Knicks center, became the target of a legendary LeBron flop. Chandler had a reputation for rough physical play. LeBron and his teammates were probably very aware of this and knew it could be used to their advantage. With around a minute and a half to go in the second quarter, Chandler and James crossed paths at center court. What James did next would shock viewers around the world. It especially shocked announcer Jeff Van Gundy, who said on air that he was dumbfounded. The flop became even more obvious when played back in slow motion. James also spent the next minute or so marching up and down the court, acting like he was in serious pain. Not only was LeBron never fined for this flop, Chandler was issued a flagrant foul, and LeBron got to shoot 2 free throws for it. LeBron's flopping has continued into his later career as well. Even on the Lakers, the King has attempted some unbelievable flops. In fact, just this past February, LeBron got smacked with another fine for flopping. This time, it was for a play against the Memphis Grizzlies. Just watch what LeBron does. If that wasn't bad enough, LeBron now appears to be mentoring younger players on the art of flopping too. Kyle Kuzma pulled a massive flop of his own during the same game. Kuzma was also fined $5,000. Considering LeBron makes $40 million a year just on salary alone, it's no surprise that a $5,000 fine isn't enough to stop him. If the league really wants to put an end to these embarrassing plays, they'll have to come up with something else. Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has been an NBA champion and Finals MVP on 2 different teams. That means he's definitely a star and one of the best players in the entire league. However, despite what many people seem to think, Kawhi is in fact human. Every once in a while, he does make mistakes, even though fans jokingly call him a robot. With a player as smooth and controlled as Kawhi, these mistakes are honestly hard to come by. But one example that sticks out did happen in the 2017 playoffs. The Spurs and the Rockets were paired up in the Western Conference semifinals. It was a hotly contested series, and the winner would advance to play the Golden State Warriors in the conference finals. Both teams took the 2 victories in the first 4 games. With the series tied up at 2-2, Game 5 was held in San Antonio. The Spurs finished the first quarter with a narrow lead and were looking to the second quarter to try to expand it. They got their chance when the Rockets lost the ball on offense. This created a fast break for the Spurs, but the excitement was short-lived. Missing a layup is embarrassing for anybody. Missing a layup when you're an NBA player is even worse. Now try being one of the league's best players and missing a layup during a close playoff game. The blunder was painful enough already, but not only did Kawhi miss the layup, he missed it by miles. This is one of the only airball layups that professional basketball has ever seen. This was definitely an embarrassing moment for Kawhi, but he recovered quickly. The Spurs went on to win Game 5 and eventually the series. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not even Giannis is immune to making embarrassing mistakes on the court. The two-time MVP has had a killer career so far, and he's managed to do it while keeping a relaxed and friendly attitude. This only makes Giannis more likable and more popular. However, in the 2019 matchup against the Charlotte Hornets, Giannis pulled something off that wasn't popular at all in Milwaukee. During a wide-open fast break, he tried to dunk the ball in stylish fashion. The results speak for themselves. If there's one thing any NBA coach will tell you, it's that the only thing worse than a blown dunk is a blown fancy dunk. If Giannis hadn't tried to swing the ball in a kind of half windmill, he might have actually scored. Instead, he sent the ball flying off the rim and straight back into the hands of his opponents.
Just an easy dunk, right? Oh!
The Bucks went on to win the game, and Giannis led the team with 34 points. However, he didn't escape the arena without a very embarrassing highlight, which appeared on Shaq's in the Fool soon after. Luka Doncic. While Luka Doncic hasn't been in the NBA very long, he's already made waves. Most of these have been positive. He's an all-star, he's averaging close to a 30-point triple-double, and he's hitting more clutch shots and game winners than anybody can even keep track of. That being said, Luka has also managed to find time to get embarrassed on the court as well. This happened most dramatically during an away game against the Nets in Luka's rookie season. Luka was matched up against Joe Harris. Harris is 8 years older than Luka, who was just 19 at the time. The game had only just started when Harris caught a pass at the three-point line. Luka leapt forward to defend Harris, but things went differently than expected, to say the least. Annoyingly, for the Mavericks, the home crowd saw this as an ankle breaker. So did the Nets bench. In reality, it's not clear if Harris really faked Luka out or if Luka just tripped on his own. It's also not clear, which is more embarrassing. It didn't help that the Mavs got destroyed for the rest of the game. They eventually lost by almost 40 points, and Doncic would finish the game with only 16. This young fella has had many shining moments in his career so far. This wasn't one of them. Anthony Davis. Even before Anthony Davis joined LeBron in LA and became a champion, he was already one of the league's top players. He's always been known for his height in particular, as well as his guard-like skills. This makes what happened on April 9, 2018 even more brutal. Davis is 6'10", and although that means he's probably the tallest person in just about any situation off the court, on the court, he still runs into players who are much bigger than he is. This is exactly the type of player Anthony Davis ran into on April 9th. Boban Marjanovic is 7'4" and about 300 pounds. The dude is a monster. He was cast in the movie John Wick 3 for a reason. In 2018, he was a center for the Clippers. The Clippers hadn't signed Kawhi Leonard yet, and it didn't look like they'd even make the playoffs that year. Meanwhile, the Pelicans did make the playoffs in 2018. On April 9th, in a home game against the Clippers, the Pelicans were expected to win. What no one expected was the embarrassing moment that happened between Boban Marjanovic and Anthony Davis. The Pelicans were up 20 in the fourth, and garbage time was soon to begin. Boban got the ball near the baseline and was set to try a jumper over AD. Realizing this was a dangerous situation, Rajon Rondo ran up to help Davis double-team the Giant. The ref ended up calling the foul. What happened next became a viral video.
I mean, think about this. Anthony Davis is 7 feet tall, and he can't even jump and knock the ball out of Marjanovic's hand.
It's obvious why people thought this was funny and why it might have been embarrassing for Davis. That being said, it isn't actually that clear what really happened. Was AD playing along? Watching the replay, fans noticed that AD wasn't really jumping. If he really wanted the ball, he could have grabbed it. Then again, why would he play along? Maybe Davis didn't realize he was being trolled until it was too late. Either way, Boban and his teammates got a good laugh out of it, and it probably helped ease the sting of the blowout loss. James Harden. James Harden has been involved in controversy for pretty much his entire career. The man has as many enemies as he has fans, but in addition to the trades, beefs with teammates, and stories about his crappy attitude, Harden is also responsible for one of the most embarrassing highlights in recent memory. Unlike most of the other plays on this list, Harden didn't just make one embarrassing move, he made several in a row, creating an entire sequence of embarrassment. First, he fumbled the ball as he was dribbling up court the final seconds of the first half. This happened during a regular season matchup against the Pelicans, a team the Rockets were supposed to be destroying. The fact that they were only up 6 meant that Harden really needed to convert on this last play. After fumbling his dribble, Harden recovered badly. Realizing that time had pretty much run out, he desperately chucked up a 3, but he lost the handle again. Realizing that he had completely screwed up his critical play and made himself look like a fool, Harden slammed the ball down in frustration and hit himself in the face. It happened in the span of a few seconds, but it was enough to go viral. It was also enough to amuse Josh Hart, whose great defense probably wasn't even necessary in this case. Russell Westbrook. During the 2017 regular season, Russell Westbrook pulled one of the weirdest bloopers of any player that year. To this day, nobody, not even Westbrook himself, has any idea why it happened. Crazy enough, this also happened during the best season of Westbrook's career. He won MVP that year. And he also became the second player in history to average a triple-double for an entire season. The date was January 8, 2017, and the location was Oracle Arena. The Warriors and the Thunder were tied in the third quarter. Kevin Durant hit a three to give the Warriors a lead. Westbrook snatched the ball and was eager to get back on offense and respond. But he did something totally out of left field. Take a look. Westbrook didn't seem to notice what he was doing, but the fans in Oracle Arena sure did. Westbrook was called for one of the weirdest travels of all time, and the Warriors got the ball back. Golden State ended up winning by 21 points, so this one blunder didn't matter much in the end. It did get Westbrook an appearance on Shaqtin' a Fool, however. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, has the most embarrassing play on this list. Steph was put on Shaqtin' a Fool in sports headlines around the world after a game against the Lakers in 2019. The game was a rout for the Warriors. Klay Thompson hit 10 three-pointers in a row, and the score was never close. Lakers fans did get one moment of joy though. During the third quarter, Steph stole a pass and ended up in a wide-open fast break. He was so far out that nobody even chased after him. It turns out they should have. Kind of like Harden, Steph compounded his mistake by making another mistake right after. His airball three-pointer made Staples Center go wild. Announcers Marv Albert and Chris Webber thought maybe the court was slippery because of a hockey game earlier that day.
You do not want to see this. That is from the maybe precipitation or from the ice. They're up under the floor, so it's all about winning.
However, no one else slipped like Curry, and the excuse did little to ease the embarrassment.